I abandoned my daughter when she was 3 days old. Tonight, 16 years later, her mother sang the lullaby I used to hear through our apartment walls, and now I'm standing outside their house at midnight, knowing I have no right to be here. My name is Callaway Drake. I'm worth $2.3 billion, and I'm about to lose the only thing that ever mattered. The house is a modest craftsman in Silver Lake, the kind of neighborhood where people actually know their neighbors' names. String lights wrap around the porch railing. There's a ceramic pot by the door with herbs growing in it, basil, maybe rosemary. The kind of details I never noticed when I was 22 and stupid enough to think money could fill the hole where a family should be. My phone is still open to her text. 3 words that brought me across the city at 11:47 p.m. Stop contacting us. Like they're a unit, which they are, which they've been for 16 years, while I was building empires and pretending the past was something I could outrun. I've been paying investigators for 14 years to find them. Ellery disappeared so completely, it was like she'd been erased. Changed her name, moved states, built a whole life in the spaces between public records. When I finally found them 3 months ago, a music teacher in Los Angeles with a daughter who has my eyes -1, told myself I'd approach carefully, respectfully. Instead, I've sent 47 messages, emails, flowers, to her nonprofit, a donation large enough that she had to acknowledge it, even if she returned every cent. Desperate doesn't begin to cover it. The porch light flicks on. My heart stops. The door opens, and there she is. Ellery Chen, 17 years older than the girl I fell in love with at USC, and somehow more beautiful for it. She's wearing an oversized cardigan over pajama pants, her black hair shorter now, just brushing her shoulders. She's not wearing makeup. She doesn't need it. She never did. Her expression could freeze hell over. I called the police, she says. Her voice is exactly the same. Warm honey that can cut like glass when she needs it to. They'll be here in 5 minutes. You need to leave. Please. The word comes out broken. I just need 5 minutes. You needed 5 minutes 16 years ago. She steps onto the porch, pulling the door mostly closed behind her, protecting whoever's inside from me. You needed 5 minutes when your daughter was 3 days old and crying in a hospital bassinet while I tried to figure out how to be a mother alone. You needed 5 minutes when she was 6 and asked why she didn't have a daddy like the other kids. You needed 5 minutes. I know. I hold up my hands. I know. You're right. About all of it. I don't need you to tell me I'm right, Callaway. My name sounds like an accusation. I need you to respect the boundary I've set 17 times now. We don't want you in our lives. Zora might. Don't. The word cracks like a whip. Don't you dare use my daughter's name like you have any claim to her. You're a stranger who shares her DNA. That's all. The door opens wider, and there she is, my daughter, Zora Drake Chen, according to the investigator's report. 16 years old, straight-A student, artist, volunteers at her mother's music nonprofit every weekend, wants to study architecture at Cornell. She's taller than Ellery now, all long limbs and sharp angles that haven't quite settled into themselves yet. She's wearing an oversized hoodie with paint stains on the sleeves. Her hair is pulled back in a messy bun. She has Ellery's cheekbones, my dark curly hair, and an expression that suggests she's much too smart for whatever situation she's walked into. Mom? She looks between us. Then, her eyes land on me. There's no recognition. Why would there be? Who is this? Before I tell you what happened next, hit that subscribe button, because this story gets messier, and you won't want to miss how it ends. Drop a comment, and tell me, would you give someone like me a second chance? Let's get into it. Ellery's jaw tightens. I can see the calculations happening behind her eyes. How much to reveal, how to protect, whether to lie. We're locked in this moment, the three of us. And I'm watching my daughter look at me like I'm a door-to-door salesman. This is... Ellery starts, and I see her searching for the right words. The ones that won't detonate the life she's carefully built. Calloway Drake, I say, because she shouldn't have to carry this alone. Not again. I knew your mother in college. Zora's eyes narrow. She's sharp. This kid. I can see her doing the math, looking at her mother's rigid posture, the time of night, the tension crackling between us like a live wire. This is the guy who's been basically stalking you, she asks Ellery. Stalking. Jesus. That's what it's been, hasn't it? I'm sorry, I say, looking at Ellery. I've handled this badly. You think? Zora crosses her arms. She has Ellery's protective instinct. That same fierce loyalty. Mom, do you want me to call the police? Or I could just film him and post it online. Billionaire harasses single mom. Pretty sure that would trend. She knows who I am. Of course she does. My face has been in Forbes, the Wall Street Journal, TechCrunch. Drake Enterprises is one of the fastest growing tech companies in the country. I'm not exactly anonymous. Zora, Ellery says quietly, go inside. I'm not leaving you alone with. Inside. Now. There's a tone in Ellery's voice that brooks no argument. Zora hesitates, looks at me one more time like she's memorizing my face for a police lineup, then retreats into the house. She doesn't close the door all the way. I can see her shadow in the hallway, close enough to intervene if needed. Ellery waits until Zora's out of immediate earshot, then turns that devastating gaze back on me. I've spent 16 years, she says, her voice low and shaking, building a life where she feels safe, where she feels wanted, where she knows, every single day, that she is the most important thing in the world to me. Do you understand that? Every choice I've made, every sacrifice, every single moment has been about giving her what you took away. I know. You don't know anything. She steps closer, and I can smell her shampoo. Something with lavender. You don't know what it was like to be 21 and terrified, holding a baby I didn't know how to keep alive, reading the note you left like it was written in a language I didn't speak. I'm sorry. I can't do this. You'll be better off without me. 32 words, Calloway. That's what 16 years of my life was worth to you. I kept that note. It's in my desk drawer at home, the paper soft from being unfolded and refolded 1,000 times, like physical evidence of the worst thing I've ever done. I was a coward, I say. Yes, I was selfish and stupid, and I broke something I can never fix. Yes, and I know I have no right to ask for anything from you. No right to be here. No right to... My voice breaks. I just want to know her, Ellery. I just want a chance to... To what? She laughs, bitter and sharp. To be a father. You can't microwave 16 years of parenting, Calloway. You don't get to show up with your billions and your guilt and expect us to just... What? Pretend you didn't choose your career over your family? Pretend that every birthday, every first day of school, every nightmare and scraped knee and disappointment, pretend I didn't handle all of that alone while you were building your empire? I looked for you. It sounds pathetic, even as I say it. When I came back from Tokyo, I looked everywhere. You were gone. Your parents wouldn't tell me anything. Your friends blocked me. It was like you'd vanished. I did vanish. Her eyes are bright with tears she won't let fall. I vanished because I couldn't risk you showing up and leaving again. I couldn't let her grow attached to someone who might disappear the moment things got hard. So yes, I changed my name. I moved. I made sure you couldn't find us. And I'd do it again. From inside the house, I hear Zora's voice. Mom, the police just pulled up. Blue and red lights wash across the front of the house. A squad car stops at the curb, and I watch Ellery's face shift through a dozen micro-expressions. Relief, fear, something that might be regret. "I'll go," I say quickly. "I'm sorry. I'll go, Calloway." She catches my arm as I turn. Her touch is electric. Even now. Even angry. "I don't know what you thought would happen here. Some fairy tale reunion where we all cry and hug and become a family. That's not real life. Real life is me, trying to protect my daughter from getting hurt by the same man who destroyed me. So if you actually care about her even a fraction as much as you claim to, you'll get in your car and you'll leave us alone." The police officer is out of the car now, walking up the path. "I can't," I whisper. "I can't walk away again. Then I'll get a restraining order." Her voice is steady, but her hand is trembling on my arm. "Test me. Everything okay here?" The officer is young, maybe 25, with the kind of eager alertness that says he's hoping for an exciting call. His hand rests casually near his weapon. "Everything's fine, officer," Ellery says, stepping back from me. "This is just a misunderstanding. Mr. Drake was just leaving." The officer looks at me. I know what he sees. Expensive suit, expensive watch, expensive car in the driveway. The kind of man who's used to getting what he wants. "Sir?" he prompts. I look past him to the house, where Zora is now standing fully in the doorway, watching this scene unfold. My daughter, 16 years old, and I don't know anything about her. I don't know her favorite color, or what makes her laugh, or if she's afraid of the dark. I don't know if she inherited my insomnia or Ellery's tendency to hum when she's concentrating. I don't know her, but I want to. God, I want to. "I'm leaving," I tell the officer. Then, to Ellery, "I'm sorry for all of it. For then, and for now, and for every moment in between." I walk to my car, a Tesla that costs more than most people's houses, and I feel their eyes on me the whole way. The officer, Ellery, Zora. I've faced down hostile boardrooms, aggressive investors, corporate sabotage. I've negotiated billion-dollar deals without flinching. But walking away from that house, from them, is the hardest thing I've done since the first time I left. My phone buzzes as I reach the car. A message from an unknown number. "She has your stubbornness and your eyes, and absolutely none of your self-preservation instinct. She's too good for either of us." I sit in the car and read those words 17 times before I start the engine. I can't stop looking at teenage Zora's face, even as the officer watches me pull away from the curb. She has this expression, confusion mixed with curiosity, mixed with protectiveness of her mother, that reminds me so much of Ellery at 20, one that it physically hurts. The first time I saw Ellery Chen, she was singing on a stage that was really just a raised platform in the corner of a campus coffee shop called The Grind. It was October of my junior year at USC. I was supposed to be at a networking event for the business school, the kind of thing my father insisted on, where undergrads in suits too expensive for their age pretended to care about market fluctuations and disruption strategies. Instead, I ducked out early, tired of performing the role of Bradford Drake's heir apparent. The Grind was packed. Open mic night, apparently, which I would have known if I'd been the type of student who paid attention to campus culture instead of just enduring it. I ordered a coffee and was about to leave when I heard her voice. She was singing Songbird by Fleetwood Mac, just her voice and a guitar that had seen better days. The whole room had gone quiet in that way that only happens when something real is occurring, when pretense drops away, and people remember what it feels like to just feel. I stood there like an idiot, coffee getting cold in my hand, and watched her. She was tiny, barely 5'2", wearing ripped jeans and a vintage band t-shirt. Her black hair fell past her shoulders in waves she kept tucking behind her ears while she played. She had her eyes closed, lost in the music, and I remember thinking, this is what it looks like when someone is exactly where they're supposed to be. I'd never felt like that. Not once in 21 years. When she finished, the applause was genuine. She smiled, shy and bright and utterly unself-conscious, and said something into the mic about how her next class was music theory, and she was probably going to fail the quiz because she'd been practicing this song instead of studying. People laughed. She laughed. And I was gone. I waited until she packed up her guitar, then intercepted her near the door. That was incredible, I said, and immediately felt like the most boring man alive. Incredible. That's what I led with. She looked up at me, and up, because I'm 6'2", and she barely reached my shoulder, and her smile went from performer bright to something more guarded. Thanks, she said. I'm Calloway. Cal. Ellery. She shifted her guitar case to her other hand. Look, if you're about to ask me out, I should tell you I have a rule about not dating guys from open mic nights. Too much pressure. What if we break up? Then I can't perform here anymore. This is my favorite venue. This is a campus coffee shop, I pointed out. Still counts. What if I promise not to break up with you? The words were out before I could stop them. Presumptuous. Arrogant. The kind of thing guys like me said because we were used to getting what we wanted. But she laughed. You're making a lot of assumptions about hypothetical future events, she said. I'm a business major. It's what we do. Of course you are. She rolled her eyes, but she was still smiling. Let me guess. Marshall School of Business. Probably in one of the entrepreneurship programs. Your dad is someone important, and you're going to take over the family company and wear suits that cost more than my tuition. Every word was accurate. I felt seen in a way that was uncomfortable and thrilling at the same time. Okay, you're good, I admitted. I pay attention. She adjusted her guitar strap. I really do have to get to class, though. Can I walk you? Why? The question caught me off guard. Because I want to keep talking to you. About what? I don't know yet. I was scrambling now, trying to figure out what made this girl different from every other interaction I'd had at USC. Music? How you learned to play like that? Why you chose Songbird? Whether you really think you're going to fail that music theory quiz. She studied me for a long moment. Those dark eyes reading something in my face I didn't know I was showing. Fine, she said finally, but if you're boring, I'm going to put in headphones and pretend you're not there. I wasn't boring. We talked the whole way to her class, a 15-minute walk that felt like 15 seconds. She told me she was a music education major, that she wanted to teach, that she'd grown up in a tiny apartment in Koreatown with parents who thought music was a nice hobby but not a real career. They wanted me to be a doctor, she said, or a lawyer. Something stable. Something that came with a retirement plan and health insurance. What do you want? I asked. To matter. She said it simply, like it was obvious. I want to teach kids who think they're not musical, that everyone has music in them. I want to run a non-profit someday that brings music education to schools that can't afford it. I want to stand in front of a classroom and watch a kid's face light up when they figure out a chord progression for the first time. That's specific, you asked. I did. We'd reached her building. Students streamed past us. Can I ask something else? Depends on the question. Can I take you to dinner? Not open mic night dinner? Real dinner. Somewhere without a stage so there's no pressure on the venue. She bit her lip, considering. You're persistent. Is that a yes? It's a maybe. Give me your phone. I handed it over. She typed in her number, then handed it back. Text me, she said. If you're interesting over text, I'll consider dinner. Then she walked into her building, guitar case bouncing against her hip, and I stood there, grinning like an idiot. I texted her before she even made it to her classroom. Question. If music is math, and math is a universal language, Does that make you fluent in the language of the universe? Her response came 5 minutes later. That's terrible. Like genuinely terrible. But also kind of sweet. Dinner tomorrow. 7 p.m. Somewhere that doesn't think putting truffle oil on everything makes it fancy. Our first date was at a ramen place in Little Tokyo. We sat at the bar, knees touching, steam rising from our bowls. She told me about growing up translating for her parents, about being stuck between two cultures, about how music was the first language she felt fluent in. I told her about my father's expectations, about the family business I was supposed to inherit, about how I'd never chosen anything in my life. It had all been chosen for me. So choose something, she said, like it was simple. Like what? I don't know. Something that's yours. Something that matters to you, not to Bradford Drake. No one called my father by his full name, except business associates and people who didn't like him. Hearing it from Ellery felt intimate. What if I don't know what matters to me? I asked. She reached over and took my hand. Her fingers were small and calloused from guitar strings. Then you figure it out, she said. That's what your 20s are for, right? Figuring out who you are when no one's telling you who to be. I fell in love with her that night. Completely. Stupidly. The kind of love that feels inevitable and terrifying at the same time. We were inseparable after that. She'd come to my apartment after her classes, sprawl on my couch with her guitar, workshop new songs while I studied. I'd sneak into her rehearsals, watch her teach music theory to underclassmen who clearly had crushes on her. You're going to be an amazing teacher, I told her once. You're biased, she said. I'm right. We'd have these marathon conversations that lasted until 3 a.m., the kind where you talk about everything and nothing, religion and philosophy, and whether artificial intelligence would make us obsolete, and what kind of parents we wanted to be someday. Someday felt far away then. I met her parents exactly once. They were polite but distant, clearly unsure what to make of their daughter dating a white guy for money. Her mother made japchae and barely looked at me. Her father asked what my intentions were, and I fumbled through some answer about respecting their daughter and being serious about our relationship. Ellery laughed about it later. They think you're going to break my heart and distract me from graduating. I'm not, I said. Promise? Promise. I broke that promise 14 months later. It happened during spring semester of our senior year. Ellery had been tired, nauseous, missing classes. She blamed it on stress. She was student teaching and finishing her degree and applying for jobs. But when she missed her period for the second month in a row, we bought a test. 3 minutes in a campus bathroom. 2 pink lines. Her face went white. Oh, God. Oh, God, Cal. I can't. We can't. Hey. I pulled her into my arms. Hey. It's okay. We're okay. How is this okay? She was shaking. I'm about to graduate. I have student loans. I don't have a job yet. My parents are going to disown me. How is any of this okay? Because we're together. I believed it when I said it. I absolutely believed it. We'll figure it out. I'll graduate. Start working for my father. We'll get married. Married? She pulled back. Cal, we've been together for a year. We've never even talked about marriage. I'm talking about it now. And suddenly, Suddenly, it made perfect sense. Marry me, Ellery. We'll do this together. All of it. She searched my face, looking for something. Certainty. Maybe. The kind of confidence I usually had in abundance. You promise? She whispered. I promise. She told her parents a week later. They reacted exactly as she'd feared. Her mother cried. Her father told her she was throwing her life away. They said I'd probably leave her as soon as things got hard. They don't know you, Ellery said that night. curled up in my bed. I told them, "You're not like that." I held her and promised I'd prove them wrong. My father's reaction was worse. "You got some girl pregnant?" He said it like she was a stranger, like she wasn't the person I loved most in the world. We were in his office downtown, all glass and steel, and the kind of view that's supposed to remind you how much power you have. "Her name is Ellery," I said. "And yes, we're having a baby." Jesus Christ, Calloway. He paced to the window. "Do you have any idea what you've done? You're about to graduate. I have a position waiting for you. Drake Enterprises is expanding into Asia, and I need someone I can trust to head up the Tokyo office. This is the opportunity I've been preparing you for your entire life." "I can't go to Tokyo. Ellery's here. The baby." "The baby." He said it like it was hypothetical. "How do you even know it's yours?" The anger came fast and hot. "Don't. I'm serious. You're 22 years old, Calloway. You're not ready to be a father. And this girl, Ellery, she's not ready to be a mother. You have options here." "I'm not asking her to. I'm not talking about that." He turned to face me. "I'm talking about money. Set up a trust. Pay child support. Be involved from a distance. But don't throw away your future because you were careless." "This isn't about being careless. I love her." "You're 22. You don't know what love is. You don't get to tell me. I'm telling you that if you don't take this Tokyo position, you're out. No job at Drake Enterprises, no trust fund, no inheritance. You want to play house with your college girlfriend. Fine. But you do it on your own dime." The room went very quiet. "You're serious," I said, completely. I should have walked out. I should have told him to go to hell. That Ellery and our baby were worth more than his money and his company and his approval. I should have chosen them. But I was 22 and terrified, and I'd never not had a safety net before. And my father was looking at me like I was a disappointment, and some pathetic part of me still wanted to prove him wrong. "I need to think," I said. "You have 48 hours. Tokyo or nothing, Calloway. Choose." Ellery went into labor 3 weeks early. I was there for the birth. I held her hand through contractions, whispered encouragement, cut the cord when Zora finally came screaming into the world. She was perfect, tiny and red, faced and perfect. Ellery was crying and laughing and exhausted, and when the nurse placed Zora in her arms, she started singing that lullaby, the one I'd heard her humming for months, the one she said helped calm the baby when she kicked. "Hush now, my darling, the stars sing your name. Tomorrow brings wonder, tonight brings no shame. Whatever comes after, wherever you roam, my love is the compass that brings you back home." I watched them, mother and daughter, and felt something crack open in my chest. This was real. This was my family. For 3 days, I was a father. I changed diapers. I brought Ellery ice chips and terrible hospital food. I held Zora while Ellery slept, marveling at how something so small could be so completely overwhelming. On the 3rd day, my father called. "Tokyo is waiting," he said. "What's your answer?" I looked at Ellery, asleep in the hospital bed, at Zora, in her bassinet, at the future I'd promised. "I need more time," I said. "You don't have it. The position starts Monday. Yes or no, Calloway?" And I stood there, 22, and terrified, and made the worst decision of my life. I wrote a note. 30. 2 words that I've memorized like a prayer I can't stop saying. "I'm sorry. I can't do this. You and Zora deserve better than what I can give you right now. You'll be better off without me. I'm sorry." I left it on the table next to her bed. I kissed my daughter's forehead one time, and I walked out of that hospital room and didn't look back. The flight to Tokyo Left at 6 a.m. I didn't sleep. I sat in the airport lounge drinking whiskey I couldn't taste, watching early morning travelers rush past with their purpose and their certainty. A family sat across from me, mother, father, 2 kids under 5. The youngest was crying. The mom looked exhausted. The dad was trying to juggle luggage and boarding passes and a diaper bag that kept spilling its contents. They looked stressed. They looked happy. I wanted to be that dad. The one juggling the diaper bag. The one dealing with the crying baby at 5 a.m. The one who belonged to something bigger than himself. Instead, I boarded a plane to Tokyo and tried to convince myself I'd made the right choice. The job was exactly what my father had promised: high pressure, high stakes, the kind of position that would have been a dream for most 22-year-olds fresh out of college. I was overseeing Drake Enterprises' expansion into Asian markets, managing teams twice my age, making decisions that affected hundreds of employees. I was good at it. I hated every second. At night, in my sterile apartment in Shibuya, I'd lie awake and wonder what Ellery was doing. Was Zora sleeping? Was she crying? Did she look like me? Or like her mother? Was Ellery managing alone? Or had her parents come around to help? Had she read my note and understood? Or had she read it and realized I was exactly as weak as her parents had predicted? I called once, 2 weeks after I left. Her number was disconnected. I tried her parents' house. Her mother answered. And when I said my name, she let loose a stream of Korean I didn't need to translate to understand. The last thing she said, in perfect English: "If you ever contact this family again, we will press charges. Stay away from my daughter." The line went dead. I hired a private investigator. He found nothing. Ellery Chen had essentially vanished from public record. No address, no phone number, no social media presence. It was like she'd been erased, or like she'd made herself impossible to find. I threw myself into work. 16-hour days, 7 days a week. I learned fluent Japanese. I made Drake Enterprises millions. My father called once a month to tell me I was doing well, that he was proud, that this was exactly the kind of initiative the company needed. He never asked about Ellery or Zora. I never volunteered. 2 years passed. I got promoted. Senior VP of International Operations. At 24, I was one of the youngest executives in the company. Forbes did a profile calling me the future of Drake Enterprises. Business Insider ran a piece about my negotiation strategy. I dated a marketing executive, a lawyer, a journalist. Short relationships that fizzled out when they realized I was never fully present. Because how could I be? Half of me was always wondering about the daughter I'd abandoned and the woman I'd loved enough to destroy. On Zora's 2nd birthday, I got drunk alone in my apartment and tried to calculate what I'd missed. Roughly 730 days. 1,520 hours. Over 1 million minutes of my daughter's life. Gone. Her first smile. First laugh. First word. First steps. All the firsts that you don't get back. I tried calling Ellery's parents again. Different number. Her father answered this time. "She doesn't want to hear from you," he said. His voice was weary, disappointed. "You made your choice. Live with it." "Please," I said. "I just want to know if they're okay. They're better off without you." "Are they? Are they really?" There was a long pause. Then, "My daughter is strong. She's building a good life. Don't mess it up by showing up now with your guilt and your money. If you love them at all, you'll let them go." He hung up. I told myself he was right, that Ellery and Zora were better off without me, that I'd made my choice, and the kindest thing I could do now was stay away. I almost convinced myself. I returned to the U.S. when I was 25. My father was stepping back from day-to-day operations, preparing to hand over the company. I was the heir apparent. Everything was going according to plan, except I felt nothing. Success felt hollow. Money felt meaningless. I went through the motions, board meetings, investor calls, strategic planning sessions, and felt like I was watching someone else's life. At 27, I started my own company. Drake Enterprises was my father's legacy. I wanted something that was mine. I founded a tech startup focused on AI-driven educational tools. Software that could personalize learning, identify students who were struggling, connect kids in underfunded schools with resources they needed. I told myself it had nothing to do with Ellery's dream of bringing music education to schools that couldn't afford it. I was lying. The company took off. Within 3 years, we were valued at over $1 billion. I hired the best team I could find, poured everything I had into the work, and tried to fill the emptiness with success. It didn't work. I dated. Got engaged once to a woman named Melissa who worked in venture capital. She was smart, driven, beautiful. We made sense on paper. But when she started talking about marriage and kids and the future, I panicked because I already had a kid, a daughter I'd never met, and I couldn't figure out how to be a father to new children when I'd abandoned the first. Melissa called off the engagement. "You're in love with someone else," she said. "Or maybe with the ghost of someone. Either way, there's no room for me." She was right. On Zora's 10th birthday, I was in London for a conference. I spent the entire day distracted, wondering what she looked like at 10. Was she tall? Did she play sports? Was she musical, like her mother? Did she hate me? Did she even know I existed? That night, drunk in my hotel room, I hired another investigator. The best money could buy this time. I gave him everything I knew. Ellery's name, her parents' names, her USC records, everything. "Find them," I said. "I don't care what it costs." It took him 4 years and $300,000, but he found them. If you're loving this story, do me a huge favor and smash that like button. Also, where are you watching from? New York? London? Lagos? Drop your city in the comments. I love seeing our global family. Now, let me tell you what happened during those 16 years. The investigator's report landed on my desk on a Tuesday. Ellery Chen was now Ellery Whitman. She'd taken her maternal grandmother's maiden name. She lived in Silver Lake, Los Angeles. She ran a nonprofit called Harmony Project LA, which provided free music education to underserved communities. She taught part-time at a community college. She'd never married. Zora Drake Chen was 14 years old, straight-A student at a public arts magnet school, member of the debate team, volunteer at her mother's nonprofit, award-winning visual artist. She'd recently won a regional competition for a multimedia installation about fractured families. There were photos. Ellery at 37 looked both exactly the same and completely different. Same small frame, same thick black hair, but there was a hardness around her eyes that hadn't been there at 21. She'd live a hard life. You could see it in the set of her shoulders, the way she smiled for photos but never quite let the smile reach her eyes. And Zora, my daughter at 14, was all angles and intensity. Curly dark hair she'd clearly inherited from me. Ellery's cheekbones and mouth. Tall for 14, almost 5'8", according to the report. The photos showed her volunteering, accepting an art award, laughing with friends outside her school. She looked happy. She looked like she didn't need me at all. I spent 3 days staring at those photos, trying to figure out what to do with the information. Contact them, show up unannounced. Send a letter? Money? What could possibly make up for 14 years of absence? In the end, I did the only thing I knew how to do. I threw money at the problem. Anonymous donation to Harmony Project LA. $500,000, enough to fund their operations for 2 years. I told myself it was about supporting music education, not about assuaging my guilt. Another lie. Ellery sent out a press release thanking the anonymous donor. I read it 17 times, searching for hidden messages that weren't there. 6 months later, I sent another donation, $1 million this time. Enough to expand their programming, hire more teachers, buy new instruments for 3 elementary schools. This time, Ellery called a press conference. I watched the video on YouTube, sitting in my office at 2 a.m. She looked tired but radiant, talking about the impact of music education, about the kids who discovered themselves through song, about the community they were building. She didn't mention me. Why would she? She had no idea the anonymous donor was the man who'd abandoned her. But Zora was there, now, standing slightly behind her mother. And when the reporter asked what this donation meant to her, she said, "It means someone out there believes in what we're doing. That music matters. That kids like me matter. Whoever you are, thank you. You're changing lives." I watched my daughter thank me without knowing who I was, and something inside me broke wide open. I couldn't do this anymore. The anonymous donations, the distance, the pretending I could fix things with money while staying safely removed. I needed to see them, talk to them, try to explain. So I started sending messages. Email first, to the Harmony Project contact form. "I've been following your work. I'd love to discuss potential partnership opportunities. Would you be willing to meet for coffee?" Ellery's assistant responded with a polite form letter. I tried again. More direct this time. I used my personal email, made it clear who I was. "Ellery, it's Calloway. I know I have no right to contact you after all these years, but I'd really like to talk. Please, just coffee, one conversation." No response. I sent flowers to the Harmony Project office with a note. "I'm sorry for everything. See?" They were returned unopened. I showed up at a Harmony Project fundraiser, bought a table, sat through the whole event watching Ellery work the room, brilliant and charismatic, talking about music and community and second chances. She saw me. I know she did. Our eyes met across the ballroom, and for just a second, I saw recognition. Then she turned away like I was a stranger. I cornered her near the silent auction. "Ellery, please, Mr. Drake." Her voice was professional ice. "Thank you so much for your generous donation tonight. Harmony Project appreciates your support. I need to talk to you." My assistant can schedule a call to discuss partnership opportunities. I don't want to discuss partnerships. I want to discuss our daughter. People were starting to look. She smiled, gracious and controlled, and said quietly, "If you ever mention that in public again, I will burn every dollar you've ever donated and make sure everyone knows why. Are we clear? I just want a chance. You had your chance. 16 years ago, you chose Tokyo." She walked away, leaving me standing there like an idiot among the auction baskets and the classical music and the couples who looked at me with curiosity and pity. I tried 6 more times over the next 2 months. Email. Phone calls that went straight to voicemail. Another donation, $2 million this time, with a personal note asking for just 5 minutes of her time. She returned the money. All of it. $2 million wired back to my account with a message from her lawyer. "Ms. Whitman requests that you cease all contact. Further attempts will be considered harassment." That's when I realized money couldn't fix this. Success couldn't fix this. Time couldn't fix this. I'd broken something fundamental, and no amount of apology or explanation or grand gesture was going to repair it. But I couldn't stop, because here's what the investigators report didn't tell me what Ellery's life had actually been like those 16 years. I found out later, piecing it together from public records and old friends and information I probably had no right to access. She'd gone into labor 3 weeks early, alone in the apartment we'd shared, called her mother from the hospital, gave birth at 21 without me there because I'd already left for Tokyo, taken the baby home to that tiny apartment 2 days later. Her parents had helped, eventually, but there'd been months of cold silence first. Months where Ellery worked 3 jobs, waitressing, tutoring music students, cleaning houses, while juggling a newborn and trying to finish her degree. She'd graduated on time, 5 months postpartum, carrying Zora in a baby carrier under her graduation gown, because childcare cost money she didn't have. She'd moved 7 times in the first 5 years, always one step ahead of rising rent, bad landlords, neighborhoods that weren't safe for a single mother and a baby. She'd applied for hundreds of teaching jobs, but full-time positions were rare and competitive. She'd cobbled together part-time work, substitute teaching, private lessons. She'd started Harmony Project when Zora was 6. Tiny operation at first, just Ellery and 2 other teachers, working out of a community center, teaching music to kids whose schools had cut arts funding. She'd written grant applications at midnight, after Zora went to bed. She'd hustled and scraped and fought for every dollar, and she'd done it all alone, while I was in Tokyo building a career, while I was starting my company and getting engaged to Melissa and being profiled by Forbes as one of the most successful young entrepreneurs in tech, while I was doing everything except the one thing that mattered. On Zora's 16th birthday, I sent one final message. I know you don't want to hear from me. I know I don't deserve the time or space to explain. But Zora is 16 now, the same age we were when we met, and I can't let another day pass without trying. I was a coward. I was selfish. I made the worst choice of my life when I left you, both. If there's any chance, any at all, that you'd be willing to let me meet her, please, I'm begging. Not as the guy who donates to your nonprofit or the CEO who can write big checks. As Zora's father. As someone who loves you both and has spent 16 years understanding exactly what I threw away. Please. 3 days later, Ellery responded. 3 words. Stop contacting us. That's what brought me to her house at midnight. That's what brought me to this moment. Driving away from Silver Lake with my daughter's face burned into my memory and Ellery's text message on my phone. She has your stubbornness and your eyes and absolutely none of yourself. Preservation instinct. She's too good for either of us. I should have left them alone. I should have respected the boundary Ellery set. I should have done a lot of things. But 16 years of should-haves had taught me exactly one lesson. Regret doesn't diminish with time. It compounds. It grows. It becomes the thing you are instead of the thing you feel. And I was done being a man defined by the worst thing he'd ever done. So I went home, sat down at my desk, and started writing. Not an email this time. Not a message that could be ignored or deleted. A letter to my daughter. Every word I'd been too afraid to say for 16 years. Dear Zora, I don't send the letter. Instead, I spent 3 days rewriting it. Each version more pathetic than the last. How do you explain abandonment to the person you abandoned? How do you make "I was 22 and scared" sound like anything other than the excuse it is? On the 4th day, my assistant buzzes my office. Mr. Drake, there's a situation. Ellery Whitman is here. She doesn't have an appointment, but she's insisting. Send her in. I'm standing before the door even opens. Ellery walks into my office like she's going into battle. Shoulders back, chin up, wearing jeans and a Harmony Project t-shirt like armor against the marble floors and floor-to-ceiling windows of Drake Enterprises' executive suite. She looks around once, taking in the view of downtown L.A., the modern art on the walls, the desk that cost more than most people's cars. Her expression says everything. This is what you chose over us. Thank you for seeing me, she says, formal and cold. You never have to make an appointment, Ellery. I told you that. You've told me a lot of things over the years. Forgive me if I don't take them at face value. She stays standing, even when I gesture to the chairs. This won't take long. I came to deliver a message, and then I need you to actually, for the first time in your life where Zora is concerned, do what I'm asking. Okay. She wants to meet you. The words hit like a physical blow. What? Zora. She wants to meet you. She's been researching you for the past 4 days. Read every article, watched every interview, looked at your company's mission statement about educational equity and accessibility. She has questions. A lot of them. And she thinks she deserves answers. She does. God, Ellery, of course she does. I'm not here for your agreement. Her voice is sharp. I'm here to set terms. You want to meet her? Fine. But we do this my way. No surprises, no grand gestures, no showing up at our house in the middle of the night. I'm sorry about. I don't care if you're sorry. She cuts me off. I care about protecting my daughter. So here's what's going to happen. Saturday, 2 p.m. The Coffee Bean on Sunset, public place. I'll be there the whole time. You get 1 hour. If at any point Zora wants to leave, we leave. And you don't follow. You don't contact her afterward unless she explicitly says it's okay. And Calloway. She steps closer, and even with the height difference, she's the most intimidating person I've ever faced. If you hurt her, if you make one promise you don't keep, if you disappear again, if you do anything that makes her feel the way you made me feel, I will destroy you. I don't care how much money you have or how many lawyers you can afford. I will burn your life to the ground. Are we clear? Crystal. Good. She turns to leave, then stops. She's nervous. She's trying to pretend she's not. But she is. She's been planning what to wear like it's the most important day of her life. She made me promise 3 times that you were actually going to show up. So whatever else you do, whatever else you screw up, be there. 2 p.m. Don't be late. I'll be early. Don't be that either. Be exactly on time. She's already anxious enough without watching the door, wondering if every man who walks in is her father. The word father sounds strange in Ellery's mouth, like a title I haven't earned. She leaves without another word, and I stand in my office for 20 minutes afterward, trying to process the fact that in 3 days, I'm going to meet my daughter. Really meet her. Talk to her. Answer her questions. The thought is terrifying. I cancel all my meetings for the week. My coup thinks I'm having a breakdown. Maybe the first AM. I spend Tuesday researching Zora online like a stalker. Her art portfolio. Her debate team wins. A local news piece about Harmony Project that features her teaching guitar to elementary school kids. Wednesday, I buy books about parenting teenagers and realize how useless they are when you're starting 16 years late. Thursday, I try to write out what I'll say and end up with nothing but false starts and crossed out apologies. Friday, I don't sleep at all. Saturday arrives with the kind of perfect LA weather that feels like a taunt. 75 degrees, sunny, the kind of day where everything should be easy and beautiful. I shower twice, change clothes 4 times, settle on dark jeans and a button-down shirt, casual but respectful. Not the suit I'd wear to intimidate a boardroom. Not the jeans I'd wear to pretend I'm still 22. I arrive at the Coffee Bean at 1:58 p.m. Ellery and Zora are already there, sitting at a corner table. Ellery sees me first, her expression unreadable. Then Zora looks up, and our eyes meet. She's wearing a vintage flannel shirt over a tank top, ripped black jeans, combat boots, silver rings on most of her fingers. Her curly hair is pulled back in a ponytail. She looks like a combination of Ellery's creativity and my stubborn determination. And she's looking at me like I'm a puzzle she's trying to solve. I walk over. My hands are shaking. Hi, I say. Brilliant opener, Callaway. Really showing that billion-dollar vocabulary. Hi, Zora says back. Her voice is lower than I expected. Confident. Thank you for agreeing to meet me. I had questions. Mom said you'd answer them. Anything. I sit down across from them. Whatever you want to know. Ellery has coffee in front of her, but isn't drinking it. She's watching both of us like a referee, ready to call the match. Zora pulls out a small notebook, the kind artists carry for sketching. But when she opens it, I see it's full of writing. Questions, I realize. She's prepared questions. Okay, she says. First one, why did you leave? No warm-up, no small talk, straight to the heart of it. I take a breath. Because I was scared. Because I was 22, and my father gave me an ultimatum. Take a job in Tokyo, or lose everything. My inheritance, my position at his company, all of it. And I chose wrong. I chose the job. I chose the money and the career over you and your mom. And it's the worst decision I've ever made. Okay, she writes something down. Follow up. If you regretted it, why didn't you come back? I tried, 2 years later when I came back from Tokyo. But your mom had moved, changed her name. I couldn't find you. I hired investigators, but she didn't want to be found. Zora finishes. She glances at Ellery. Something complicated passing between them. She's told me about the name change. About moving a lot when I was little. I always thought it was just because of money. It was, Ellery says quietly. Money and other things. Zora turns back to me. Next question. Mom says you've been trying to contact us for months. Why now? What changed? I found you 3 months ago. My investigator finally tracked you down. And I know I should have approached it better. I should have been respectful of your mother's boundaries, but I start over. Nothing changed. That's the problem. I've spent 16 years trying to convince myself I did the right thing, that you were better off without me, that I could build something meaningful enough to justify the choice made. And none of it worked. The money doesn't matter. The success doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that I have a daughter. And I don't know her. And every day that passes is another day I can't get back. She writes more notes. Her handwriting is surprisingly neat. All careful letters and margins. Question 3. What do you want from this? From meeting me? It's the most important question, and I have to get it right. Honestly, I don't know. I want to know you. I want a chance to not make up for the past, because I can't, but to be present for the future. If you'll let me. I want to answer your questions, tell you about my side of your family history, be someone you can call if you need something. But Zora, I leaned forward, needing her to hear this. This is entirely on your terms. Whatever relationship we have, if we have one at all, you get to define it. You want to meet once a month for coffee. Okay. You want nothing to do with me? I'll respect that. You want to call me Callaway or Cal or just my biological father and keep me at arm's length? That's your right. I don't get to demand anything from you. I lost that when I left. Zora studies me for a long moment. Then she says, Mom cried for 3 days after you left. Did you know that? The air leaves my lungs. She doesn't think I remember because I was only 3 days old, but she's told me the story. How she woke up in the hospital and you were just gone. How she read your note and didn't understand. How she called your phone and it was disconnected. How she went to your apartment and the landlord said you'd broken your lease. Zora's voice is steady, but there's steel underneath. She had to move back in with her parents who'd told her you'd leave. She had to drop out of her last semester. She had to figure out how to be a mom completely alone because the person who promised to do it with her just disappeared. I know. Do you? Zora's eyes, my eyes, are fierce. Because it's easy to say you know. It's easy to show up 16 years later with money and apologies. But do you actually understand what you did? Not just to Mom, but to me. Tell me. Every Father's Day at school, I had to make cards for my grandfather. Every Bring Your Dad to School event, Mom had to take off work, or I had to skip it. Every friend who complained about their dad being annoying, or strict or embarrassing, I wanted to tell them they were lucky to have a dad who was there to be annoying. Do you know how many times I've wondered what was wrong with me that my own father didn't want to stick around? Nothing. The word comes out harsh. Zora, nothing is wrong with you. This was never about you. Wasn't it, though? She's not crying, but her voice is tight. Because if I'd been worth staying for... Stop. Ellery puts her hand on Zora's arm. Baby, we've talked about this. His leaving wasn't a reflection on you. I know that in my head, Mom. But... Zora looks at me. I need to hear it from him. I want to reach across the table, take her hand, but I don't have that right. You were 3 days old, I say. You were perfect. You are perfect. If I could go back, if I could do it over, I would tell my father to go to hell. I would stay. I would learn to change diapers and wake up for 3 a.m. feedings and figure out how to be a parent. You were worth staying for, Zora. You were worth everything. I was just too young and stupid and scared to see it. She blinks hard, looks down at her notebook. Question 4, she says, voice slightly shaky. What happens now? Whatever you want. That's not an answer. Okay. I try to think. I'd like to see you again, talk more, learn about you, your art, your music, school, your friends, what you care about. I'd like to try to be something in your life, but I'll follow your lead. Zora looks at Ellery. Mom, this is your choice, honey, Ellery says. I'll support whatever you decide. What if I want to try, like, meet for coffee sometimes? See if we can actually have a relationship. Then we try, I say. But what if you leave again? The question is small, vulnerable. This is the heart of it. What if I let you in, and you decide it's too hard, or too complicated, or you have some other big career opportunity? I won't. You promised Mom that, too. The truth of it sits between us, like broken glass. You're right, I say. I did. And I broke that promise, and now my word doesn't mean anything to you. So I can't ask you to just trust me. I have to earn it. And the only way to do that is to show up, consistently, for as long as it takes for you to believe that I'm not going anywhere. How long will that take? I don't know. Months? Years? However long you need. Zora closes her notebook, looks at her mom, then back at me. Okay, she says. We can try. But I have conditions. Anything. 1, you don't get to suddenly try to be my dad, like telling me what to do or acting like you have authority. You're Calloway. We're getting to know each other. That's it. Agreed. 2, you have to be honest. Even if the truth sucks. Even if it makes you look bad. I've had 16 years of a sanitized version of this story. I want the real one. Deal. 3, if I need space, you give it to me. No pushing, no showing up uninvited, no overwhelming Mom's phone with messages. I glance at Ellery. She raises an eyebrow that clearly says, yes, we're talking about you. I can do that, I say. And 4. Zora's voice softens. You have to actually want this, not because you feel guilty or because you think it's what you're supposed to do. I need you to actually want to know me, because I don't need a father out of obligation. I've done fine without one. I want to know you, I say, more than I've wanted anything in 16 years. She nods, slowly. Okay then, we'll try. The relief is overwhelming. Thank you, Zora. Thank you for even giving me a chance. Don't thank me yet, she interrupts. You haven't earned anything. This is me being willing to see if you can. Fair enough. We sit in awkward silence for a moment. Then Zora says, So, tell me something real. Not the Forbes profile version. Something true. Like what? I don't know. What's your biggest fear? The answer comes immediately. That I'll screw this up. That I'll say the wrong thing or push too hard or somehow hurt you worse than I already have. That you'll realize I'm not worth the effort. Okay? She considers this. That's pretty real. My turn. Please. I'm scared too. She admits. I'm scared that I'll like you. That we'll actually build something, and then you'll leave, and it'll hurt worse than just never knowing you. Ellery makes a small sound. Zora reaches over and squeezes her mom's hand. We're a package deal, Zora says. Me and Mom. You don't get to have a relationship with me and treat her like she's invisible or just the woman who raised your kid. She's my mom. She's the one who's been there for everything. So if you want to be in my life, you have to respect her. Always. I do respect her, I say, looking at Ellery. More than she probably believes. Good. Zora checks her phone. It's 3:15. We've been here an hour and 15 minutes. Time flew. I say, yeah. She stands up, shouldering her bag. Same time next week? Really? That's how trying works, right? We keep showing up until we figure out if this can work. Next Saturday, 2 p.m. I'll be here. Okay. She hesitates, then adds, Thanks for being honest. About the leaving. About being scared. It's better than some rehearsed speech. I threw out 17 drafts of rehearsed speeches. She almost smiles. Good call. Ellery stands too, and they gather their things. As they're leaving, Ellery turns back. Calloway, she says. Yeah? Don't make me regret this. Then they're gone, and I'm sitting alone at a coffee shop table, my untouched coffee cold, with the overwhelming sense that I've been given something precious and fragile that I absolutely cannot drop. I pull out my phone and add a recurring event to my calendar. Saturday, 2 p.m. Coffee bean. Zora. Then I sit there for another hour, replaying every word, every expression, every moment of the conversation, trying to memorize my daughter's voice. Zora's bedroom walls are covered in art. I don't see this in person. I'm not invited to their house, and I wouldn't presume. But she shows me a photo during our third Saturday coffee meeting, when I ask about the piece that won her the regional competition. That's my wall of work in progress, she explains, zooming in on the image. I can see sketches, paintings, mixed media pieces in various states of completion. Mom says it looks chaotic, but it helps me think. I like seeing all the ideas at once, the connections between them. It makes sense, I say. My office is like that. Whiteboards everywhere, covered in diagrams and half-finished thoughts. Really? She looks surprised. The Forbes article made it sound all minimalist and zen. That's my conference room, where I need to impress people. My actual office is a disaster. She grins. Mom, did you hear that? Calloway's a mess, too. Ellery looks up from her laptop. She's been sitting nearby during these meetings, giving us space but present like she promised. I heard. Don't use him as an excuse for your room. It's not messy. It's creative chaos. It's a fire hazard. This is their rhythm. I'm learning. The easy back and forth of 16 years together, inside jokes and shorthand I'm not part of. Sometimes it makes me ache with how much I've missed. But mostly, I'm just grateful to witness it. Our meetings have developed their own pattern. 2 hours every Saturday, always at the coffee bean. The first 30 minutes are usually awkward. Zora brings her list of questions. I try to answer honestly. We both navigate the weirdness of getting to know each other. Then something shifts, and we'll end up talking about art or business or music or nothing in particular, and for brief moments, it almost feels natural. Almost. Question, Zora says, pulling out her ever-present notebook. Do you have other family? Like grandparents on your side I should know about? I hesitate. My father passed away 5 years ago. Heart attack. Oh, I'm sorry. Don't be. We weren't close. He was difficult. Because he gave you the ultimatum? About Tokyo? That was part of it. But he was difficult long before that. Demanding. Critical. Nothing was ever good enough. I stop. Aware I'm talking about her grandfather. I don't want to poison the well. You should form your own opinions. He's dead, Zora points out. I can't form an opinion. I just want to know the truth. Ellery meets my eyes over her laptop. She nods. Slightly. Be honest. Okay. Truth. Bradford Drake was brilliant and ruthless, and believed that success justified any sacrifice. He built an empire, and he wanted me to run it, but only if I did it exactly his way. When I told him about you and your mom, he saw it as a liability, a distraction from my potential. He gave me the ultimatum because he genuinely believed I'd be better off without you. And you believed him, Zora says. For about 2 years. Yeah. Then I realized he was completely wrong about everything that mattered. Did you tell him that? Yes. We fought about it for years. He never admitted he'd been wrong. Do you think he regretted it? Pushing you away from us? I consider the question. My father's last years, the way he'd sometimes ask about my personal life was something that might have been concern. The way he never quite apologized, but stopped pushing me toward relationships with women he deemed suitable. Maybe, I say, in his own way. But he was too proud to say it. Are you too proud? Zora asks. Is that genetic? I'm trying not to be. That's why I'm here. Good. She makes a note. What about your mom? She died when I was 8. Cancer. Zora's expression softens. That sucks. Yeah, it did. Do I look like her? Do you have pictures? You do, actually. Same eyes, same way you tilt your head when you're thinking. And yes, I have pictures. I could bring some next week if you want. I want. She writes it down. Okay. Lighter question. What's your actual job? Like, I know you run a tech company, but what does that mean day to day? I explain Drake AI Systems, the educational technology we develop, the mission to make personalized learning accessible. Zora listens intently, asking smart questions about the ethics of AI in education, about data privacy, about whether technology can ever fully replace human teachers. It shouldn't replace them, I say. That's not the goal. The goal is to support teachers, give them tools to identify which students need extra help, to customize lessons for different learning styles. Your mom is a better teacher than any software could ever be. Ellery looks up, surprised. What? I say. Nothing. Just, I didn't expect you to understand that. I've read everything Harmony Project has published. Your philosophy about music education being foundational to cognitive development, it's exactly right. We're actually using similar principles in our reading comprehension software. You've read our publications, Ellery says. All of them. Multiple times. Zora looks between us. Are you two about to have an actual conversation? Should I leave? No, Ellery says quickly. Stay. But something's shifted. Ellery closes her laptop, actually engaging instead of just supervising. Which publications specifically? She asks. The piece you wrote for Education Weekly about music training, improving executive function in elementary students. The study you co-authored about the correlation between music education and math scores in underserved communities. The grant proposal, where you argued that arts funding isn't supplementary, it's essential. I stop, aware I sound like a stalker. I told you. I've been following your work. For how long? 14 years. Ellery absorbs this. That's thorough. That's obsessive, Zora corrects. But kind of sweet. In a weird way. I wanted to know you, I say to Ellery. Both of you. Your work was the only window I had. Ellery doesn't respond, but something in her expression cracks slightly. Not forgiveness, but maybe understanding. We're interrupted by Zora's phone buzzing. She checks it, and her whole face lights up. Oh my God. Oh my God. What? Ellery asks. I got it. The New Art Fellowship. The email just came through. She's reading fast, hands shaking. Full scholarship to their summer intensive in New York. 6 weeks of workshops, gallery visits, mentorship with working artists. Mom, this is the one I wanted most. That's incredible. Ellery hugs her daughter. Baby, I'm so proud of you. They're both beaming. And I'm watching this moment of pure joy, grateful to witness it, even if I'm peripheral to it. Then, Zora's expression changes. Wait, this is in July. The intensive is 6 weeks, and it says housing is included, but she's scrolling through the email. Travel isn't. And there's a $500 program fee for materials and museum memberships, and recommended spending money for. She stops, looks at Ellery. How much is a flight to New York? I watch Ellery's face carefully school itself into calm. We'll figure it out. Mom, we will. This is too important. We'll make it work. But I can see the calculation happening behind her eyes, the mental math of an already tight budget, the sacrifice she's already preparing to make. Congratulations, Zora, I say. Seriously. That's a huge achievement. Thanks. But she's still looking at her mom with concern. I should let you two celebrate, I say, standing. Same time next week. Yeah, Zora says distractedly. Same time. I leave them there. Zora still scrolling through the fellowship details. Ellery already pulling up budget spreadsheets on her laptop. I make it to my car before I call my assistant. I need information on the New Art Fellowship Summer Intensive, I say. Everything. Cost breakdown, who runs it, how their scholarship program works, whether they accept additional funding from outside sources. Right away, Mr. Drake. And Jamie? I need it by Monday morning. I spend the rest of the weekend thinking about money. It's always been my solution to problems. My father taught me that. Can't fix something? My father taught me that. Can't fix something? Throw money at it. Want something? Buy it. Screwed up catastrophically. Write a big enough check, and people will at least pretend to forgive you. Except it doesn't work that way with Ellery. Every donation I've tried to make, she's returned. Every attempt to help financially, she's rejected. She'd rather struggle than accept anything from me, and I understand why. Money is easy for me. It's the lazy way out. It's me trying to pay for absolution instead of earning it. But this isn't about me. This is about Zora getting an opportunity that could change her trajectory as an artist. This is about a 16-year-old girl who's brilliant and talented and deserves every door open for her. This is about me being a father, even if I have to do it in a way Ellery will hate. Monday morning, I have my answer. The New Art Fellowship accepts supplementary funding from corporate sponsors and individual donors. They have a discretionary fund for additional student support, travel, materials, emergency expenses. I write a check to that fund. $25,000. Anonymous donor. Designated for high-achieving students who demonstrate financial need. Then I make some calls. By Wednesday, I have a plan. It's going to piss off Ellery. It might destroy the fragile trust we've been building. But I can't watch Zora's opportunities slip away because of money I have and they need. Saturday comes. 2 p.m. Coffee bean. They're both already there, and I can tell immediately something's wrong. Ellery's jaw is tight. Zora looks confused. What did you do? Ellery says, before I even sit down. Can the first New Art called. They said an anonymous donor made a substantial contribution to their discretionary fund, and in light of my financial circumstances, they'd like to cover Zora's program fee and travel expenses, plus a $5,000 stipend for living expenses in New York. Ellery's voice is dangerously quiet, and when I asked who the donor was, they said they weren't at liberty to disclose, but that the donation was made specifically to support students, demonstrating both exceptional artistic merit and financial need. Those exact words, Calloway, which happened to be the exact words from Zora's acceptance letter. Zora is looking at me. Did you do this? I made a donation to New Arts Student Fund, I admit, but it was truly anonymous. How they chose to allocate it is up to them. Bullshit, Ellery says. You called them. You told them about Zora. I didn't tell them about Zora specifically. I donated to a fund that supports talented students who need financial assistance. If they chose to use that money to help your daughter, that's their decision. You manipulated the situation. I created an opportunity. There's a difference. Is there? Ellery leans forward. Because from where I'm sitting, you just did exactly what I told you not to do. You tried to buy your way into being relevant. You threw money at a problem instead of respecting our independence. This isn't about independence. It's about Zora getting to go to New York. I would have figured it out. How? The word comes out sharper than I intend. How exactly were you going to come up with $5,000 plus airfare in 6 weeks, Ellery? Because I've seen Harmony Project's financials. I know what you pay. Yourself. I know you've been putting Zora's college fund ahead of everything else. So tell me, how are you going to make this work without sacrificing something important? She stands abruptly. Zora, we're leaving. Mom, wait. Zora stays seated. Can we talk about this? There's nothing to talk about. This is exactly what I was afraid of. Him sweeping in with his money, making me look like I can't provide. That's not what this is, I interrupt. This is me trying to support my daughter's dreams. You don't get to make that call. You've been in her life for 3 weeks. You don't get to decide what she needs. You're right. I force myself to speak calmly. I don't, but Zora does. And she deserves the chance to go to this program without her mother having to work 3 extra jobs or drain her savings or choose between her daughter's opportunity and keeping the lights on. The coffee shop has gone quiet. People are staring. Ellery realizes it the same moment I do. Outside, she says. Now, we move to the parking lot. Zora follows, silent and watchful. You had no right, Ellery says, her voice shaking. No right to go behind my back, to make decisions about how my daughter's education gets funded. Our daughter. Don't you dare. You don't get to claim her when it's convenient. You weren't there for 16 years of scraped knees and school projects and teaching her to ride a bike. You don't get to show up now and play hero. I'm not trying to play hero. I'm trying to be a father. Being a father isn't writing checks, Calloway. It's showing up when things are hard. It's being there when she has nightmares. It's helping with homework and driving carpool. Making sure she eats vegetables. It's 1,000 tiny, unsexy moments that no one sees and no one appreciates. You can't skip 16 years and jump straight to the grand gestures. Her words hit like punches. I know that. I know I can't make up for what I missed. But I can make sure she doesn't miss this opportunity because of money. What if I don't want your money? What if I want to provide for my daughter myself? Why? To prove something? To punish me? Or because you're too proud to accept help? Because I don't trust you. The words explode out of her. I don't trust that you'll stay. I don't trust that you won't wake up one day and decide this is too complicated, too messy, too much work. And if I let you pay for things, if I let Zora depend on you, and then you leave again. Her voice cracks. I can't watch her go through that. I can't watch her heart break the way mine did. The truth of it sits between us. I'm not leaving, I say quietly. You don't know that. Yes, I do. How? How can you possibly know? Because I spent 16 years running from the biggest mistake of my life, and it didn't work. Because every success I've had has been empty. Because I look at Zora, and I see everything I almost lost, everything I did lose. Because I start over. I'm not 22 anymore, Ellery. I'm not the scared kid who thought money mattered more than family. I know better now. And I know that if I walk away from this chance, there won't be another one. This is it. This is my opportunity to be a father. And I'm not screwing it up again. Ellery is crying now. Angry tears she swipes at roughly. You already screwed it up, she says. You screwed it up 16 years ago. And now you're asking me to trust that you've changed, that you're different, that you won't hurt us again. Do you have any idea how hard that is? I know. Do you? Because I've spent 16 years building a life where Zora feels safe and loved and secure, and you showing up threatens all of that. What if she starts to care about you? What if she starts to see you as her father? And then you realize this is too hard, or your company needs you overseas, or you meet someone who doesn't want to deal with a teenage stepdaughter. That won't happen. You can't promise that. I can. I am. Ellery, I'm promising you right now, I'm not going anywhere. I don't care how hard it gets, or how complicated, or how messy. I'm staying. For Zora. I stop myself before I say something I can't take back. She hears it anyway. Don't make this about us. There is no us. There's you, and there's me trying to protect our daughter from getting hurt. I understand that, and I respect it. But Ellery, she wants to go to New York. She wants this program. And I have the means to make it happen. Is your pride really worth more than her opportunity? It's the wrong thing to say. I know it as soon as the words leave my mouth. My pride? Her voice goes deadly quiet. You think this is about pride? This is about teaching my daughter that she doesn't need a man's money to succeed, that she can work hard and earn things herself, that she doesn't have to depend on someone who might not stick around. I'm going to stick around. Prove it. She steps closer. Don't pay for New York. Don't make grand gestures. Just show up. Every week. Every time you say you will. Be consistent. Be present. Be the father you're claiming you want to be without using your money as a shortcut. And if I do that, if I show up every week for months, will you trust me then? I don't know. Maybe. Ask me in 6 months. Ellery. Mom. Zora's voice cuts through. She's been standing there the whole time, listening to us dissect her life. Can I say something? We both turn to her. This is about me, right? She says. The fellowship, the money, all of it. This is about me and what I want. Of course, Ellery starts. Then I should get a say. Zora looks at me, then her mother. I want to go to New York. I want this program more than anything. But Mom's right. I don't want it because Calloway feels guilty and threw money at it. I want to earn it. You did earn it, I say. You got accepted on your merit. I know, but the money part. She chews her lip. What if we compromise? How? Ellery asks. Calloway pays for the program fee and the flight. But I work for the spending money. Mom, you said Harmony Project needs help with the website, redesign, and the social media strategy, right? What if I do that over the next 6 weeks? Like actual work. You pay me Whatever you'd pay a contractor. Honey, that won't be enough for. Then I'll get another job too. Babysitting, tutoring art, whatever. I'll earn the money for New York expenses. She looks at me. And Calloway, you can't just give me cash or slip extra money into things. This has to be real. I have to actually work for it. It's a good compromise. Smart. Fair. Classic Zora. Finding the middle ground between her mother's independence and my resources. Okay, I say. But I'm paying the new art donation as an anonymous donor. Not as your father, just as someone who believes in arts education. Will that work for you, Mom? Zora asks. Ellery looks torn. Finally. Fine. But Zora, you're serious about working for that spending money. Real work, real hours. I'm not going easy on you. I know. Zora grins. I'm actually kind of excited about it. They look at each other, some silent communication I'm not part of. Then Ellery sighs. Thank you, she says to me, not warmly, but genuine, for wanting to help. Even if you went about it the wrong way. I'm still learning the right way, I admit. Yeah. Well, keep learning. She and Zora gather their things. As they're leaving, Zora turns back. Hey, Calloway. Yeah? Thank you. For the donation. For making it possible for me to go. You're welcome. I'm proud of you, Zora. For getting accepted, and for the compromise you just proposed. That took maturity. She smiles. I learned from my mom. They leave together, and I stand in the parking lot thinking about trust and pride and the impossible balance between helping and overstepping. My phone buzzes. A text from Ellery. 6 months. Show up every week for 6 months without missing once, without making excuses, without putting your company first. Then maybe, we'll talk about you being more involved. Until then, you're on probation. Don't mess it up. I text back. I won't. Her response. We'll see. I add another reminder to my calendar. Not just Saturday coffee, but daily. Show up. Be present. Prove it. Because that's what this is about. Not money. Not grand gestures. Just showing up. Week after week. Until trust becomes possible. Week 1. I show up. We talk about Zora's art, her friends, a debate tournament she's preparing for. I tell her about my mother, show her the photos I promised. She studies them carefully, looking for herself in my mom's features. Week 2. I show up. Zora's stressed about finals. I offer to help her study for her AP US history exam. Ellery hesitates, then agrees. We spend 2 hours at their house, the first time I've been invited in, and I quiz Zora on Cold War politics while trying not to stare at the life they've built without me. Week 3. I show up. Zora wants to know about my work, so I bring my laptop and show her some of the educational software we're developing. She points out ways the interface could be more intuitive. I take notes. Later, I have my design team implement her suggestions. Week 4. I show up. Ellery joins our conversation more, asking pointed questions about my company's data privacy policies, my thoughts on corporate responsibility, whether I think wealth gives people too much power. I answer honestly, even when it makes me uncomfortable. Week 5. I show up. Zora's stressing about the Harmony Project website redesign she promised to do. I offer to help, not to do it for her, but to teach her some basic UX principles. Ellery watches us work, and I catch her almost smiling once. Week 6. I show up. It's the Saturday before Zora leaves for New York. She's nervous, excited, terrified. We talk about leaving home for the first time, being alone in a big city. I tell her about my first week in Tokyo, how lonely it was, how overwhelming, how I wish I'd had someone to call who actually cared. You can call me, she says, while I'm in New York. If you want, just to check in. It's the first time she's offered continued contact outside our Saturday meetings. I'd like that, I manage. Week 7, Zora is in New York. We text sporadically, photos of the Met, complaints about subway delays, excitement about a workshop with an artist she admires. I read every message 17 times. I still show up to the coffee bean. Ellery is there. You didn't have to come, she says. Zora's not here. I know, but I wanted to see how you're doing. First week of empty nest and all. She looks surprised. It's weird. The house is too quiet. How's the Harmony Project website coming? Good. Zora did beautiful work before she left. I'm just doing final edits. We sit in awkward silence. Then Ellery says, You actually showed up. I said I would. People say a lot of things. I'm not people. I'm trying to be better than I was. She studies me. Why? What changed? Nothing changed. That's the problem. I spent 16 years trying to change, become successful enough, rich enough, powerful enough that the guilt would stop. It never did. So I stopped trying to outrun it and started trying to face it. And how's that working for you? It's hard, but it's real. I pause. Can I ask you something? Depends on the question. The lullaby, the one you sing to Zora. I heard it that night at your house, through the window. What's the story behind it? Ellery's expression shifts. Something vulnerable crosses her face. You really want to know? I do. She takes a breath. I wrote it the night before I decided to keep her. I was 21, pregnant, terrified. You just told me your father gave you an ultimatum, and I could see you pulling away even though you were trying to pretend you weren't. My parents were pressuring to not keep the baby. Said I was too young, that it would ruin my life, that you'd leave anyway. Ellery, let me finish. Her voice is steady, but tight. I was alone in our apartment, and you were at some Drake Enterprises function with your father, trying to convince him to give us a chance. And I sat there with my hand on my stomach, feeling her kick, and I thought, what if everyone's right? What if I can't do this? What if she'd be better off adopted by some perfect family with 2 parents and a house in the suburbs? I can barely breathe. I never knew she'd considered this. I was going to tell you the next day that I'd decided that we should look into adoption. Give her the life we couldn't provide. She wipes at her eyes. But that night she kept kicking. Like she was fighting. Like she was saying, I'm here, I'm real, I matter. And I started humming to calm her down. And the words just came. Hush now, my darling. The stars sing your name. Tomorrow brings wonder. Tonight brings no shame. Whatever comes after, wherever you roam, my love is the compass that brings you back home. It was a promise, Ellery continues. A promise that no matter what happened, if you left, if my parents disowned me, if I had to do it alone, my love would be enough. That she'd always have a home with me. That I'd choose her over fear. And you did, I say quietly. And I did. The next morning, I told you I was keeping her. That we were keeping her. Do you remember what you said? I do. Exactly. I said, I'm all in. Whatever it takes. Yeah, you did. She laughs bitterly. Lasted 3 days. I'm sorry doesn't cover it. No, it doesn't. We sit with that truth. Then Ellery says, but the lullaby, I sang it to her every night. When she couldn't sleep, when she was sick, when she had nightmares, it was our thing. And set, when she got old enough to understand, I told her I wrote it for her, that it meant she'd always belong with me, that my love was the constant in her life. It's beautiful, I say. You gave her exactly what I took away. Certainty, security, home. I tried. She looks at me directly. But you want to know the truth? The part I never told Zora? Please. Every time I sang that last line, my love is the compass that brings you back home, I thought about you, about whether you'd ever find your way back, whether you'd even want to. Her voice breaks slightly. 16 years I sang that song. And 16 years I wondered if you'd hear it somehow and remember what you left. The air leaves my lungs. I heard it, I whisper. That night outside your house, you were singing it, and I heard it through the window, and it broke something in me. Because I realized you kept singing our daughter the lullaby you wrote, and I missed all of it. Every night, every nightmare, every moment she needed that song. I missed all of it. Yeah, Ellery says. You did. Can I tell you something? What? I used to hum that tune. In Tokyo, in New York, in every empty apartment and hotel room. I didn't know the words. I only heard you singing it once before I left. But the melody stuck. And I'd hum it when I couldn't sleep, when the guilt was too heavy. Like maybe if I remembered the song, I could remember why I needed to find my way back. Ellery stares at me. You're saying you remembered the lullaby. Part of it. The melody. I didn't know you'd finished writing it. I didn't know you sang it to Zora every night. But yeah, I remembered. She stands abruptly. I need to go. Ellery, wait. No. I need to process this. I can't. She gathers her things. Same time next week. When Zora calls, don't mention this conversation. This is between us. Okay. She leaves, and I sit there wondering what I've done. Reopened a wound, offered a piece of connection. Both? That night, I can't sleep. I pull up YouTube and search for lullabies until I find a recording of someone singing Hush Little Baby. It's not the same song, but it makes me think of Ellery's version. I pull out my phone and do something probably stupid. I text her. I know you need space, but I wanted you to know the lullaby isn't just Zora's. It's yours, too. You wrote it when you chose love over fear. You've lived it every day for 16 years. That takes more courage than I've ever had. I'm in awe of you. I always have been. She doesn't respond. But 3 days later, when Zora calls from New York and mentions she's homesick, I hear Ellery singing in the background. The lullaby. And when Zora says, Mom's singing our song, it helps. I have to pretend my eyes aren't wet. Week 8. I show up. Ellery is there, and she actually smiles when she sees me. Small, cautious, but real. Thank you, she says, for what you said about the lullaby. I meant it. I know. That's what makes it complicated. Week 9. I show up. We talk about Zora's progress in New York. She's thriving, making friends, producing incredible work. Ellery shows me photos of a mixed media piece Zora created, all layered images and text about belonging and displacement. She's processing, Ellery says. Everything with you, meeting you, building a relationship. It's coming out in her art. Is that good or bad? It's honest. That's what matters. Week 10. I show up. Ellery tells me about a funding crisis at Harmony Project. A major grant fell through, and they're short $30,000 for the fall programming. She's stressed, trying to figure out where to cut. I don't offer money. Instead, I say, what if I connect you with some corporate sponsors? Companies looking for arts education partnerships. No strings, no pressure, just introductions. She considers it. That's different from writing a check. That's the idea. Teaching you to fish instead of giving you a fish. Did you just use a proverb on me? Is working? Maybe. I make the introductions. 3 companies express interest. 2 weeks later, Harmony Project secures 50,000 in corporate sponsorships. Ellery calls to tell me, and I can hear the relief in her voice. Thank you, she says, for doing it the right way this time. I'm learning. Yeah, you are. Week 11. I show up. Ellery brings her guitar, the same one from college, battered and loved. She plays me a new song she's working on for her students. I sit and listen, and it's like being 21 again, watching her at open mic night, falling in love with the way music moves through her. Except I'm 38 now, and the love is deeper because it's built on who she actually is, not who I imagined her to be. Week 12. I show up. It's mid-July, sweltering hot. The coffee bean's AC is broken. We relocate to a park, sit under a tree, and talk about everything and nothing. 6 months, Ellery says suddenly. What? You've been showing up for almost 3 months now. If you keep this up for 3 more, we hit the 6 months I said, the probation period. I'll be here, I say. What happens then? When the probation ends? I don't know. What do you want to happen? She's quiet for a long time. Then I want to believe you've changed. I want to believe this version of you, the one who shows up, who listens, who doesn't try to buy solutions, is real and permanent. But I'm scared. Of what? That I'm letting my guard down, that I'm starting to trust you again, that Zora is building a relationship with you, and if you leave, it'll destroy her. I'm not leaving. You keep saying that. But, Calloway, what if you meet someone? What if you fall in love, get married, start a new family? Where do we fit in that picture? The question catches me off guard. Ellery, I say carefully, I haven't been in a serious relationship in 5 years. Every woman I've dated, I've compared to you. Every relationship failed because I was still in love with the ghost of what we had. So the idea that I'd meet someone and suddenly our daughter becomes less important. That's not how it works. That's never how it's worked. She stares at me. What are you saying? I should be careful here. I should think before I speak. But I'm tired of being careful. I'm saying that you and Zora, you're not an obligation I'm trying to fit into my life. You're the life I'm trying to build everything else around. The company, the success, all of it. It only matters if I can share it with the people I love. And I stop. Wrecked. I love being Zora's father. I love these Saturday meetings. I love learning who you've become. I love that you challenge me and don't let me get away with anything and make me be better than I've ever been. Calloway, I'm not asking for anything, I say quickly. I know we're not. I know too much has happened. I'm just answering your question. Honestly, like you asked. Ellery is crying now. Quiet tears that she doesn't wipe away. You don't get to say things like that, she whispers. You don't get to make me feel. She stops. This isn't fair. I know. I spent 16 years getting over you. Did it work? She laughs through her tears. No, not even a little bit. And I hate that. I hate that you can show up after all this time and make me feel 21 again. For what it's worth, I feel it too. That makes it worse. We sit in complicated silence. Then Ellery's phone rings. Zora, calling from New York. Hey, baby, Ellery answers, wiping her eyes. How's the gallery visit? I watch her talk to our daughter, the way her whole face lights up, the way she listens like Zora's words are the most important thing in the world. This is what I missed. This is what I threw away. But maybe, I'm being given a chance to have it again. Not the same way. Not like it was, but something new. Something built on truth instead of promises. After the call ends, Ellery says, she wants to talk to you. I told her you were here. She hands me the phone. Calloway? Zora's voice is bright, happy. Guess what? My piece got selected for the final showcase. like the one where actual gallery owners and art critics come. Mom told you about the layered displacement piece, right? She did. That's incredible, Zora. I want you to come to New York for the showcase. It's the last day of the program, and Mom's already booked her flight, but I want you there too. Is that weird? My heart is doing something complicated in my chest. Not weird, I manage. I'd be honored. Cool. I'll text you the details. And Callaway? Thanks for showing up every week, for being consistent. It means a lot. It means a lot to me, too. When I hand the phone back to Ellery, she's watching me with an expression I can't read. New York, she says. New York. I agree. This is going to be complicated. Yeah, but maybe, she trails off. Maybe complicated is better than empty. Much better, I say. And for the first time in 16 years, I let myself hope. The flight to New York is 5 hours of turbulence and anxiety. I'm in first class, old habits, but I can't focus on work, can't sleep, can't do anything but think about the fact that in a few hours, I'm going to watch my daughter present her art to an audience of professionals and critics and strangers. Ellery texted me the logistics. The showcase is at a gallery in Chelsea, starts at 7 p.m. Zora is one of 15 students presenting. She warned me it might be emotional. Zora's piece is about fractured families and displacement and trying to find home. She's processing everything. Ellery wrote, meeting you, understanding the past, figuring out her identity. It's all in the work. I'm terrified of what I'll see. The gallery is small but prestigious, white walls and track lighting, and the kind of stark minimalism that makes art feel important. I arrive early, 6:30, and find Ellery already there, standing in front of a large mixed media installation. Zora's piece. It stops me in my tracks. The installation is maybe 8 feet wide and 6 feet tall, layers of transparent panels mounted at different depths. Each panel has a different element. Photographs, sketches, text, found objects. The overall effect is fragmented, like looking through water or broken glass. I step closer. The back panel is a photograph. Ellery at 21, pregnant, laughing at something off camera. I recognize it from my old apartment. I must have taken it, though I don't remember when. The next layer is text, handwritten in Zora's neat script. My mother chose me. That's the first story I ever knew. The next layer is sketches. A woman holding a baby. A lullaby's lyrics, musical notes floating like stars. Another layer of text. My father chose fear. That's the second story I learned. Then, photos of me. Recent ones. From Forbes. From TechCrunch. Candid shots Zora must have taken during our coffee meetings without me noticing. More text. The third story is still being written. The front, most layer is a mirror, angled so viewers see themselves reflected among the fragments. I stand there, staring at my life, rendered in art and truth, and I can't breathe. She's talented, Ellery says quietly, appearing at my side. Really talented. This is... I can't find words. I don't know what this is. Honest. Painful. Beautiful. All the things good art should be. Does she hate me? The question comes out broken. Is that what this is saying? Read the artist's statement. She points to a small placard mounted next to the installation. Compass, or mixed media installation, or Zora Drake, Chen. This piece explores the concept of home as both a physical place and an emotional state. I grew up with one parent who was always present, and one who was absent, not dead, not unknown, just gone. For most of my life, I built my identity around that absence, around what I didn't have. But this year, absence became presence. The missing parent returned. And I had to reconstruct my understanding of home, of family, of who I am when the story changes. The layered panels represent different perspectives on the same history, my mother's truth, my father's truth, my truth, and the truth we're building together. The mirror at the front asks viewers to consider their own fractured families, their own missing pieces, their own complicated definitions of home. The title comes from my mother's lullaby. My love is the compass that brings you back home. But I've learned that home isn't a fixed point. It's a direction you choose, over and over. It's the decision to show up, to try, to believe that broken things can be rebuilt into something new. I read it 3 times, and by the 3rd time, I'm crying in the middle of a Chelsea art gallery like an idiot. She doesn't hate you, Ellery says softly. She's giving you a chance. We both are. I don't deserve this. Probably not. But that's not how love works. It's not about deserving. It's about choosing. Before I can respond, Zora appears. She's wearing black jeans, a vintage blazer, combat boots. Her hair is down, wild and curly. She looks older than 16, confident and nervous at the same time. You came, she says, seeing me. Of course I came. Both of you came. She looks between us. Together. We took separate flights, Ellery clarifies quickly. We're not. This isn't. I know, Mom. Zora grins. But you're both here. That's what matters. She turns to me. So, what do you think? Be honest. I think it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, I say. And the most painful. And I think you're incredibly brave for making something this personal, this honest. It's about us, she says. All 3 of us. The family we were, the family we weren't, the family we might become. I know it's weird to put that in an art show, but my mentor said the best art comes from truth. It's not weird, Ellery says. It's powerful. People are starting to filter in. Other students, parents, gallery staff, critics with notepads. Zora gets pulled away to prepare for her presentation. Ellery and I stand together, awkward and connected in equal measure. This is surreal, she says. Which part? All of it. Being in New York. Watching our daughter present her art. Standing next to you feeling whatever this is. What is it? I ask. She looks at me. I don't know yet. Something between forgiveness and terror. Between wanting to trust you and being afraid to. That's fair. Is it? Because I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. For you to get a business call and have to leave early. For you to realize this is too complicated. For you to. Ellery. I turned to face her fully. I cleared my entire schedule for this weekend. My team knows I'm unreachable except for emergencies. I flew 3,000 miles to watch our daughter present a piece about fractured families and broken trust. I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. When are you going to believe that? I don't know, she admits. Soon, maybe. Or never. I'm still figuring it out. The presentation starts. The gallery director gives opening remarks, talks about the exceptional talent of this year's fellowship cohort. Then students present their work, one by one. Zora is third. She stands in front of her installation, poised and articulate, and talks about the concept of home as a verb instead of a noun. She talks about her mother's strength, about growing up with half a story, about learning to hold complexity. I used to think family was simple, she says. You either have one or you don't. But I'm learning it's more complicated than that. Family is the people who show up. It's the people who stay, even when it's hard. It's also the people who come back, who try to repair what they broke, who choose you even when they didn't at first. She looks right at me when she says it. This piece is my attempt to hold all those truths at once, the hurt and the hope, the absence and the return, the mother who never left, and the father who's learning to stay. Because home isn't just where you start. It's also where you choose to build something new. The audience applauds. Ellery is crying. I'm crying. Zora is smiling, confident and vulnerable. After the presentations, there's a reception. People cluster around Zora's piece, asking questions, taking photos. A critic from the Village Voice interviews her. The gallery owner leaves a business card. I watch it all from a distance, proud and overwhelmed. An older man approaches me, late 60s, well-dressed, carrying a glass of wine. "You're the father," he says. "Not a question." "Yes." Robert Chen, Zora's grandfather. Ellery's father. "Oh, we've never met. He refused to talk to me 16 years ago. Refused to tell me where Ellery went." "Mr. Chen," I say carefully. Don't apologize," he interrupts. "I've heard enough apologies. I came over to tell you something else." "Okay, I was wrong about you. 16 years ago, I told my wife you'd leave, that you weren't serious, that you were just a rich kid playing house. And I was right. You did leave. But I was also wrong, because you came back. You're trying. And Zora," he looks at his granddaughter across the room. "Zora is happy, really happy. For the first time in her life, she has both parents. And as much as I want to hold a grudge, I can't, because my granddaughter deserves a whole family. Thank you," I manage. "Don't thank me. Earn it. Keep showing up. Keep choosing them. And if you ever hurt my daughter again, I'll make sure you regret it." "Understood." He extends his hand. We shake. "Welcome to the family, Calloway," he says. "Don't screw it up." He walks away, and I'm left standing there, realizing I've just been given permission I didn't know I needed. Later, when the reception is winding down, Zora finds me. "Hey," she says. "Can I show you something?" "Of course." She leads me to a quiet corner of the gallery, pulls out her phone, and shows me a sketch. It's a family portrait. Ellery, Zora, and me. Not realistic, more stylized. All flowing lines and interconnected shapes. We're separate, but touching. Distinct, but unified. "I started this sketch 3 months ago," she says, "right after we started having our coffee meetings. It's us, the family we might be." "Might be?" I echo. "I'm optimistic, but I'm not naive. We're still figuring this out. But I wanted you to see it, because I want you to know I'm trying too. This isn't just you showing up. It's me choosing to let you in. It's all of us choosing each other, over and over." I can't speak. I pull her into a hug, and for the first time, my daughter hugs me back. "Thank you," I whisper, "for giving me a chance, for being brave enough to let me try." "Thank you for trying," she says, "for real, not just saying it." When we pull apart, Ellery is watching us from across the gallery. She's smiling, genuine, and warm. That night, after Zora goes back to her dorm to pack for her flight home, Ellery and I end up at a late-night diner in the West Village. "This feels familiar," she says, sliding into the booth. "Open mic night, USC, ramen in Little Tokyo." I remember. "You remember that?" I remember everything. We order coffee, terrible diner coffee that tastes like nostalgia. We talk about Zora's success, her talent, her future. Then Ellery says, "I think the probation period is over." "What?" "You've shown up for 3 months. You flew to New York. You're building a real relationship with Zora. You've proven you're serious." She takes a breath. "So I'm officially ending your probation. You're not on trial anymore. So what am I?" "Zora's father. Part of our family. Someone I trust." The words hit harder than any business success ever has. Ellery, I'm not saying everything's perfect, she interrupts. We still have complicated history. There's still hurt I'm working through, but I believe you've changed. I believe you're choosing us. And that's enough to build on. What does that mean? Practically, it means you can call Zora directly, not just wait for Saturday. It means you're invited to family dinners, school events, the messy everyday stuff. It means we co-parent, for real, like an actual team. I want that, I say, more than anything. Good. She pauses. It also means we have to figure out what we are. You and me. Not just as Zora's parents, but as whatever we're becoming. My heart is racing. What do you want us to be? I don't know yet, she admits. Part of me wants to keep things simple, parents, friends, nothing more. But another part of me. She trails off. I felt something tonight. Watching you watch Zora present, seeing you cry over her art, standing next to you and feeling like we're a team, not just two people managing a situation. I felt it too. So what do we do about it? We take it slow, I suggest. We keep building trust. We focus on Zora. And if something more develops, if we find our way back to each other, we let it happen naturally. No pressure, no expectations, just possibility. Possibility, Ellery repeats. I like that. We finish our terrible coffee. We walk back toward our hotels, different rooms, keeping appropriate boundaries. At the corner where we need to split up, Ellery stops. Callaway? Yeah? Thank you. For coming back, for trying, for being the person I needed you to be, even if it took 16 years. Thank you for letting me. She reaches up. She's still tiny compared to me, and kisses my cheek. Just a brush of lips. Quick and sweet. Then she's walking away, and I'm standing on a New York street corner at 1 a.m., feeling like I just got everything I've ever wanted. I text Zora. Thank you for tonight. I'm so proud of you. See you in L.A. Her response comes immediately. See you at Saturday coffee. And Callaway, I'm glad you're my dad. I read those 6 words 17 times before I can breathe normally again. 6 months later. I'm in Ellery's kitchen teaching Zora how to make pad thai. This is not something I ever imagined, me in their house, arguing with a 17-year-old about whether the noodles are too soft, while Ellery sits at the counter grading papers and offering commentary. Too much fish sauce, Ellery says without looking up. I haven't even added it yet. I protest. I can smell you thinking about adding too much. Zora laughs. Mom has superpowers. It's not a superpower. It's living with you for 17 years, and knowing you think more is always better. That's not true, I say, adding fish sauce. That's definitely true, Zora says. You brought me 3 different art books last week when I mentioned I was interested in contemporary installation work. And a subscription to Art Forum, Ellery adds. And that documentary series about modern artists. Zora continues. Fine. I overdo things. I'm working on it. Are you, though? Ellery's smiling now. That genuine warm smile I've been seeing more of lately. This is our rhythm. Now. Saturday coffee evolved into Saturday dinner. Then Sunday brunch. Then weeknight drop. Ins when I'm not traveling. I have a standing invitation, Ellery says, which means I show up for family dinners twice a week, help Zora with college applications, and generally try to be present in the everyday boring, beautiful moments that make up a life. It's the best thing I've ever done. Zora's been home from the New Art Fellowship for 5 months. She came back confident, focused, clear about wanting to pursue art seriously. She's applying to RISD, Pratt, CalArts, top programs that recognize her talent. She's also still volunteering at Harmony Project, teaching guitar to elementary kids who look at her like she's impossibly cool. She calls me when she needs college essay feedback.